Once upon a time, there lived a wealthy farmer with 2 sons. They live in a quiet village surrounded by fields and rolling hills. The father was kind, hardworking, and well-loved by everyone. He had built a good life for himself and his family, and he had always hoped to pass it on to his children. The 2 sons were both loved by their father, though they were very different. His elder son was dutiful, hardworking, and obedient. The younger son, let's call him Sam, was restless. He was young, eager to see the world, and he wasn't content with the life he had. Sam had big dreams of adventure, excitement, and independence. He wanted to live his own life, away from his father's shadow. One day, Sam decided he couldn't wait any longer. He walked up to his father and said, "Father, I want my share of the inheritance now. I'm ready to leave and live my life." The father's heart sank. Such a request was highly unusual and even disrespectful. In their culture, asking for an inheritance while one's parent was still alive was akin to wishing for their death. But the father loved his son deeply, and though he knew it might lead to trouble, it was disrespectful and hurtful. But the father, instead of getting angry or upset, he decided to honor Sam's request. He agreed. He gave Sam his share of the family wealth. It was a lot of money, enough to live on for a long time. Sam packed his bags, said goodbye to his family and friends, and left for a distant city. His father watched him go, hoping that Sam would find what he was looking for. At first, life was exactly what Sam had dreamed of. He went to a faraway country, away from the rules of his father's home. He spent his money on everything that seemed fun: parties, fine food, expensive clothes, and all the pleasures he could imagine. For a while, he was the center of attention, surrounded by people who seemed like friends. But as the months passed, something terrible happened. Sam ran out of money. He had nothing left. His friends, who had been so eager to party with him, disappeared when the money was gone. No one was there to help him now. To make matters worse, a famine hit the country. Food became scarce, and Sam couldn't find any work. He found himself in desperate need. So, he did something he never imagined. The only job he could find was on a pig farm, feeding the animals. For a young man who had grown up in a wealthy home, this was a humbling experience. Day after day, he stood in the mud, surrounded by the stench of the pigs. Sometimes, as he watched the animals eat, his stomach growled so loudly that he considered eating their food. As he sat there, thinking about how far he had fallen, something changed in Sam's heart. He realized how foolish he had been. He remembered his father's house. The servants there had enough to eat, and even leftovers. His father treated his workers with dignity and kindness, unlike how Sam was being treated now. Sam thought to himself, "I've messed up. I've wasted everything. But maybe, just maybe, I can go back to my father and ask him to take me in as one of his servants. At least I won't starve. I don't deserve to be called his son, but maybe he'll let me work as a servant." So Sam got up, turned around, and began the long journey back home. Each step was filled with a mixture of fear and hope. He rehearsed what he would say to his father over and over. "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm not worthy to be your son. Just make me one of your servants." His heart was heavy with shame, but he was determined to make things right. What Sam didn't know was that his father had been waiting for him every single day since he left. One evening, as the father stood outside, gazing at the horizon as he often did, he saw a figure in the distance. The figure was thin and worn, but there was no mistaking it. It was Sam. The father had been waiting. He had been watching and hoping for his son's return every day. And when he saw Sam, his heart was filled with love and compassion. Without hesitating, the father ran to Sam, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. Sam, overwhelmed and ashamed, began to speak. "Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm not worthy to be called your son anymore. Please, just let me be one of your servants." But the father interrupted him. "Enough of that," he said, smiling through his tears. "You're home, and that's all that mattered." He called to his servants and said, "Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Prepare a feast, kill the fattened calf. We're going to celebrate. My son was lost and is found. He was dead, and now he's alive." The celebration began, and everyone was filled with joy. The father's love for his son had overcome all the mistakes and the pain. Sam had returned home not as a servant, but as a beloved son. The older son, let's call him Ben, had been working in the fields. He was out there all day doing his job, and when he came back to the house, he heard music and laughter. He asked one of the servants, "What's going on?" The servant replied, "Your brother has come home. Your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has him back safe and sound." Ben was furious. He couldn't believe it. What? After everything that happened? After all the years I've worked for my father, never once disobeying him, and he throws a party for my brother who wasted everything. He was so angry that he refused to go inside. When the father heard that Ben wasn't coming in, he went out to him. He pleaded with him, "Son, why are you upset? Everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate because your brother was lost and now he's found. He was dead and now he's alive." Ben's anger didn't go away easily, but the father's words were filled with love and understanding. He reminded Ben that he was always there with him, and that the celebration wasn't about forgetting the good that Ben had done, but about honoring the fact that his brother had come back. They all dine, merry together, and live happily forever.